Dame i gospodo, dragi prijatelji, poštovani gosti, srdačno čestitam 30. godišnjicu osnivanja fondacije Laza Kostić i želim mnogo uspeha u radu u budućim vremenima. Osjećajte se ugodno u Matici Srpskoj. Matica je uvek bila topli dom za Lazu Kostića, pa će tako biti i u godinama, decenijama, a nadam se i vekovima koji dolaze. Srećan vam današnji rad i hvala vam pažnje. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I warmly congratulate 13th anniversary of foundation of Laza Kostić and wish you successful work in the future. Please feel comfortable in Matica Srpska. Matica has always been a pleasant home for Laza Kostić, and it will be the same in the future days, decades, and I hope centuries. Have a nice work today. Thank you for your attention.
A very warm welcome to all our friends and colleagues in Serbia on this historic occasion, thank you, Robert, when the Shakespeare Institute in Stratford upon Avon, through the unreliable miracle of digital communication, welcomes the European City of Culture, Novi Sad, to this week's Thursday seminar. And a warm welcome too to Dr. Valerie Diaz, former... A great debt of gratitude since she used to keep the RSC healthy. She was former resident physician to the Royal Shakespeare Company. We are delighted today to be sharing not only our love of Shakespeare, but our love of three things which Shakespeare loved, namely music, wine, and honey. And in a town which has become a long-term connoisseur of commemorative events and odes in honour of Shakespeare ever since David Garrick's Jubilee in 1769, we're happy that today is in part a commemoration of a commemoration, the belated follow-up to the remarkable Anglo-Serbian celebration staged here in June 1991 in the presence of the then Yugoslav ambassador, Svetozar Rikanović, with the pianist Marina Milić. The 19th century saw Shakespeare being welcomed into the vernacular cultures of emerging nations right across Europe. Shakespeare's 300th birthday in 1864 was, of course, celebrated with due pomp and ceremony in this part of the world, not least with the founding of the Birmingham Shakespeare Library, in many ways the ancestor of the University of Birmingham and thus of this institute. But elsewhere, those celebrations helped to provide distinctive free voices to vernaculars otherwise in peril from homogenizing empires. In 1864, the Serbian poet Laza Kostić not only staged his own Serbian homage to Shakespeare in Novi Sad, and we've already heard some of his own ode set to music, but he sent a printed copy of his text to Stratford, where it resides to this day in the library of the Shakespeare Birthplace Trust. Under the current conditions, this precious token of Serbia's arrival onto the international literary scene can't be moved physically from Henley Street to this hall, but here I'm about to show you its digitized likeness. So here's another technical thing to go wrong. We'll have a PowerPoint like that, and we'll try and find slideshow. There, is that it? Yeah. Okay, so for those of you in Serbia, I hope you can see this. That's the front of this building, the Shakespeare Institute. We have a very nice garden full of bees. Here is Stratford, an old map, but it doesn't change very fast. And you can see where we are. We are the Shakespeare Institute by that asterisk. There's Shakespeare's tomb, there's Shakespeare's birthplace. We're very near the site of New Place where Shakespeare lived. And the ode is currently in the basement that was formerly the cellar of the pub next door to Shakespeare's birthplace, the archives. And there it is. There is that priceless annotated first page of this. You can, even those of us not fluent in Cyrillic can read the date 1864 on it. And if you look, here's the next page, and here's what the cataloguist at the Shakespeare Birthplace Trust has written. The title pages which you sent me are not Russian, but Serbian. Yeah, this is somebody who could read Cyrillic. The translations are Recollections of Shakespeare's Centenary, 1864, printed in the Episcopal Printing Exhibition in Novi Sad, King Richard III by Kostić. That's Kostić's translation of Richard III, a dialogue on Shakespeare, Recollections by Gorky, and the epilogue by Kostić. It's a lovely thing, and there it is. And here, catalogued with it at the Shakespeare Birthplace Trust, is the programme from the previous commemorative event in 1991. There's Marina Milić at the piano. Here is a translation of some of Kostić. Here's the British Yugoslav Society. And there is a pin-up of Laza Kostić himself in all his glory. So that is our souvenir token from Serbia. I will cease sharing if I can remember how to do it. I will stop share like that. There we go. And at this point, I'm delighted to hand back, yes, to talk about honey. Students of Shakespeare interested in his distinctive patterns of imagery have long noted Shakespeare's interest in sweetness, often expressed around images of licking, honey, melting, and dogs. And people, ever since Caroline Spurgeon, people have wondered, was Shakespeare terrified by a dog licking his honey when he was a child? Those pursuing his interests in architecture and indeed in order in general have cherished his account of how bees build their cells from the first act of Henry V, the passage which Michael Bartell famously didn't recognize on University Challenge. And all of us have partaken of Shakespeare's interest, which he shares with his own Falstaff, in good wine. Kostić was especially lucky as a Shakespearean to speak for a region famed for its wine and also for its honey. More on those later when we open this. But first, I'm going to hand back to Novi Sad and to a hostess with a suitably Shakespearean name, Marina.
Now, here we are in the oldest Serbian institution of science, art and literature, welcoming most brilliant world-class pianist, collaborator, Julius Drake, and the top piano sopranos from Novi Sad. To get Julius today, we had to compete his hectic global schedule and to book him 2 years in advance. But we just had to have Julius take part in our 30th anniversary ceremony because of his links with Serbian culture, Serbian music, which dates to 1988, it's 34 years ago. As a young rising star, Julius came to Novi Sad to play in Studio M on Radio Novi Sad with Nicholas Daniel Oboist, and after that they gave concert, 400 concert, jubilee concert, in Serbian Academy of Science and Art in Belgrade. And they played Sonatina, he still remembers it, Sonatina by Radomir Petrovic, and apparently he played it many times later. After that, we joined together, we had a wonderful concert in Stanley Hall in 1997, played piano duo and the other things for us, and the whole program was British and Serbian program. Then there was a world premiere in St. John Smith Square, and Patricia Rosario and our darling Dr. Valerie Diaz still remembers that, who is now with you in Stratford. That was the world premiere of Epistle of Love by John Tavener. And he wrote the piece based on the text of Serbian monks, Orthodox, medieval and Renaissance poetry. The same program was repeated in Belgrade in Kolarec Hall, but the top artists, all of them, gave their rights for our recording, which was in fact recording our historic and artistic achievement and our work with them. Today, Julius has an opportunity to explore new contemporary Serbian music from our town, from Novi Sad, and to perform with 2 lovely top sopranos from our town. And you will hear next Radoslava, whose name is truly example of that nomen est omen, because Rado in our Serbian language, I don't know how it's in Russian, but in Serbian, Rado, it means full of joy, but it also means working hard. And Slava means glory. And Radoslava, wherever she goes, she glorifies our culture, our town, full of joy and hard work. We know, as Shakespeare knew and as Laza knew, that nothing in this world happens without God's consent and without help of the angels from above. Therefore, we have chosen for you most wonderful new piece, The Icons Shine. Welcome, Radoslava, with Julius Drake.
Slažu se u neke Poštovani prijatelji Fondacije Laza Kostić, dame i gospodo. Najpre želim da u ime grada Novog Sada čestitam ovaj značajan jubilej Fondaciji Laza Kostić i da ih iskreno pohvalim za trajanje od čak 3 decenije i za to što su odoleli mnogim izazovima. Siguran sam da ime, lik i delo srpskog velikana Laze Kostića doprinosi entuzijazmu koji je potreban da bi se održale nematerijalne vrednosti. Laza Kostić, pesnik, političar, mislilac, velika ličnost jednog doba, ali na kraju čovek preobražaja, samo može da nam služi na ponos. Preobražaj je nasušna potreba čovečanstva. Preobražaj je i misija projekta Novi Sad, Evropska prestonica kulture. Ukrštaj kao susret različitosti, čak polariteta, je jedan fenomen kojem je Laza Kostić pridavao značaj. I mi danas vidimo razvoj kulture kao spajanje na izgled nespojivog, kao mirenje svega što je slovilo za suprotno, jer smo već doživeli da tako stvaramo nove vrednosti. Mi smatramo da te nove vrednosti treba da odišu i brišu granice, da ujedinjavanjem prevaziđemo predrasude, pretpostavke, da prevaziđemo misao koja je zatvorena u kutiji i da brišemo granice. Paralelno izabrali smo da gradimo mostove i oni jesu suština projekta Novi Sad, Evropska prestonica kulture. Zato je više nego značajno što u godini titule ovakav program nalazi svoje uzvišeno mesto. Program Medonosni ukrštaj, ukrštaj Laze Kostića i Vilijama Šekspira, ukrštaj Novog Sada i Stratforda. Zahvaljujem se Marini Milić što je spojila umetnike u uzvišenom stvaralačkom činu i što smo danas zajedno. Laza Kostić prvi je Šekspira predstavio Srbiji i to u našem najstarijem teatru, u Srpskom narodnom pozorištu. Grad Novi Sad je prepoznao značaj rada fondacije, jer je Marina osnovala ovu fondaciju u Londonu, koja je bila i jeste svojevrsni ambasador srpske kulture i drago mi je da smo i mi doprineli da ta priča živi. Prepoznali smo značaj nastojanja da se našoj deci i omladini približe velikani koji su stvarali našu zemlju i koji su gradili njen duh. Da osvetlimo njihov zanos, da preuzmemo to svetlo i da njime obasjamo sve što činimo kako bismo stvorili humaniji svet o kojem svi sanjamo. Hvala vam.
Everything today here is about bee, honey, hive, honeycomb. And we are in the institution, which means Serbian queen bee. As Laza Kostić introduced Shakespeare's work into Serbia, and was rightly known in his youth as Serbian Shakespeare, and therefore our image for all these years was the strongest visual image, was the artistic creation of the knight of our foundation, Attila Kapitanj, Laza and Will, his professor at the Academy of Novi Sad, and his double portrait, Laza and Will, was chosen at the Globe Theatre for the Globe to Globe Festival for Cultural Olympiad, the Cultural Olympiad 2012 in London, when the National Theatre with the director Nikita Milivojevic, who is also professor at our academy, had enormous success with Henry VI. It was on that occasion that Vojvodina Theatre Museum presented at the Globe an exhibition of the very first Shakespearean plays produced in Serbia. And these productions were due to Kostić. The exhibition, curated by Zoran Maksimovic, was the Globe's very first ever guest exhibition, which was a very great honor for us. Laza Kostić likened Shakespeare to a bee who creates in herself precious honey. Miodrag Radović, working on his anthology, Epiphany of Honeybee, realized that honeybee is obsessive metaphor of William Shakespeare. Among the number of quotations in nearly every work of Great Will about bee quotations, one from Henry V stands out as the highest praise of a bee as a paragon of virtue. You will hear this quotation, for which I'm quite sure you, Michael, know, I'm sure by heart, every single line, but even your students, I'm sure that they know so many lines from Henry V. But I can assure you as well that what we'll hear you now will be revelation for all of you, even in Stratford. Why? Because you will hear first Henry V in Serbian by our knight, the most famous actor, Vojin Cvetković. But after that, you will have the opportunity to hear two world premieres, two works by two wonderful, already internationally recognized composers from Novi Sad, young assistants from our academy, Dorotea Vejnović and Ljubomir Nikolić, on the same text of Henry V. But what is amazing and most wonderful discovery is to witness and to hear how the same text, both composers used the same text, but their works were diametrically different. So the two pieces that you will hear, the premiere, they were written and they're dedicated to the 30th anniversary of our foundation. They were written for us and they were presented by these wonderful two composers. They are totally different, diametrically different, although they are written on the same text.
Za opšte dobro koje iziskuje, tako rade pčele, stvorenja čija nam prirodna uprava pokazuje kakav treba da je red u kraljevini. One imaju kralja i raznog ranga službenike. Neki, kao poglavari, drže red u kući. Neki, kao trgovci, odlaze na polje. Ko vojnici oštrim žaokama pljačkaju letnje somotske pupoljke. U veselom maršu, koji kraljevski nadgleda raspevane zidare što grade krovove zlatne i vredne građane kako med smeštaju, a siromašni nosači sa teškim bremenom guraju pred uskom kapijom, a sudija stroga pogleda u zujanje, ljutito predaje bledim dželatima truta lenjivog koji zeva. Iz tog zaključujem da mnoge stvari što zajedničkom cilju služe mogu delovati različno. Kao što mnoge strele odapete sa raznih mesta lete istoj meti. Ko što se mnogi putovi sastaju u jednom gradu, ko što mnoge reke u isto slano more uviru, ko što se mnoge linije spajaju u središtu istom sunčanika, tako 1000 radnji započetih mogu da se završe jednom cilju i da budu dobro okončani.
delivering over to executor's pain. To one consent may work contrariously. As the arrows loosened several ways, fly to one mark.
divide your happy England into 4.
Whereof take you 1/4 into France. And you, we told, shall make all Gallia shake. If we, with thrice such powers left at home, cannot defend our own doors from the dark, let us be worried. And our nation lose the name of hardiness and policy.
Believe it or not, that our next soprano, Pamela, is another example that known as Omen, because her name in Greek translated means full of honey. And she's so full of honey that she needs help from 2 little bees and 1 rose, and also from the honey from the Jovan Živanović beekeeping museum. Jovan Živanović was a great friend of Laza Kostić. He was member of Matica Srpska, but he was also the developer of modern beekeeping in Serbia. As his centenary year was 2016, which was the same year as 4th centenary year of Shakespeare, we developed a centenary honey, which I'm glad to see on your table, and I would like you after the concert and after this program that you share it with your students, centenary honey, to mark this lovely link. Now let us hear Pamela with her bees and a rose.
merry march bring home? Which village they with merry march bring home? To the tent, the tent, the tent, of their emperor. Who visit in his majesty's surveys? Who visit in his majesty's surveys? The singing masons building roofs of gold, the civil citizens kneading up the honey. The poor mechanic put his crowding in the heavy burdens at his narrow gate. The silent justice with his sorry hand. Delivering over to execute a bail. The honeybees work and work, and for so work the honeybees, creatures that by a rule in a nature teach the act of order to a peopled kingdom. The honeybees work and work, and for so work the honeybees, creatures that by a rule in nature teach the act of order to a peopled kingdom.
Despite the technical problems, I think this is a truly rich cultural connection with Serbia, you know, to celebrate two world premieres inspired by the texts of Shakespeare's Henry V, Bees or Not to Be, and then Sweetness and Light just now. Anyway, I have known Marina from the very start of the Laza Kostić Fund, and she has worked tirelessly and creatively to build and broaden the fund's cultural influences and raise money for the fund. And she has brought many world-class and famous artists to perform for the fund. And I was honored that she invited me to be on the board of the fund for the last 30 years. In 2016, I was privileged to be invited to Serbia on behalf of the fund to set up Arts in Healing. And these lectures were given, and a tree of thanks was set up at the oncology department in a hospital near Novi Sad called Sremska Kamenica. And just to give you an idea, a little bit about it, it was a tree where patients could pay a certain amount and put a leaf on the tree to say thank you to their favorite nurse or doctor, or the relatives could say that. And it was very well accepted by both the patients and the staff. I was also, as Professor Dobson has said, a theatre doctor to the RSC for 25 years. So it's a double pleasure for me to be here. I would like to say a big word of thanks to Attila, who is an artist and who has created all the beautiful artwork for the fund. And you can see that in the artwork of these programs. And also to Tim, who has helped me with the lectures and the technology. And also for the English presentation in Serbian and the translations. So I think we're now ready to join with Novi Sad and raise a glass.
We raise a glass.
Of Joel's Serbian wine.
I pass this to you.
To Laza and Will.
To Laza and Will. We will all inspect this fabulous bottle later, and some of us will get to taste it. But meanwhile, Barry will carry out the toast on our behalf.
Dear Valerie, with this glass of Dr. Jole's wine, named after a noble and generous doctor, just as you are, we invite you and your wonderful husband, team, and respected auditorium from Stratford to come over to Novi Sad and explore our beautiful town. Cheers.
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 Thank you. It's been a privilege to hear the music, to see the dancing bee children of Novi Sad, to take part in this continuation of the posthumous relationship between Serbia's poet and Stratford's. Thank you so much from Stratford upon Avon. I wish the Thursday seminar could be like this every week. And I'm happy to hand back. It's my great privilege as director of the Shakespeare Institute to hand the baton back to Dragan Kojic, the president of the Laza Kostić Foundation. If he can hear me, if he is present.
Evo već 30 godina sadržajnim programima, baš kao što i ovaj današnji, Fondacija Laza Kostić gustim tkanjem ispisuje stranice svog letopisa na čast svojih dobrotvora, sve vreme vodeći se uzvišenim ciljevima iz svog osnivačkog akta, a to je da prilaže zajednici kojoj služi, podjednako i kada je radila u Londonu i danas kada je u Novom Sadu, da pronosi veliko ime, za nas barem, Lazara Kostića, i s obzirom da je svima poznato da je Laza Kostić bio pre svega nacionalni delatnik, ali da je u isto vreme, kao čovek širokog obrazovanja, velike kulture i poliglota, ostavio putokaze da podjednako moramo raditi na jačanju naše nacionalne kulture, da našu nacionalnu kulturu predstavljamo svetu i da povezujemo kulture čovečanstva, ono što se kaže prožimanje kultura, što je nesumnjivo i ovaj današnji program, i zato na mnogaja ljeta i Šekspirovom institutu, i Matici Srpskoj, i Fondaciji, Akademiji umetnosti, svim dobrotvorima bez kojih fondacija ne bi, ovako kako smo već čuli, mogla ovako uspešno da radi 30 godina. Verujem i da je ovim današnjim programom Fondacija Laza Kostić pokazala da može da bude ona i najmanja pčelica radilica koja će da prilaže novosadskoj kulturi i da podiže njene kulturne kapacitete i to baš u godini kada je Novi Sad i evropska prestonica kulture. Hvala svima.